What if your body already knows when time is running out, long before anyone else does? This isn't just a chilling idea. It's something doctors, caregivers, and families have quietly noticed for decades. Could there be subtle signs that someone has entered the final chapter of their life, even with no terminal diagnosis? Today we're exploring the 5 most alarming, but often overlooked, signals that a senior may be in their final year. They're not meant to scare you, but to open your eyes, your heart, and maybe give you the chance to say what matters while there's still time. We all imagine growing old as a slow, graceful process. Wrinkles, wisdom, maybe more naps. But for many seniors there comes a shift, one that's hard to explain. It might start with subtle changes, less appetite, sleeping more, not picking up the phone. At first it feels like aging, but sometimes it's more than that. This video isn't about fear. It's about awareness, because the greatest heartbreak isn't death, it's not being ready for it. So today we're going to walk through 5 powerful signs, emotional, physical, and even spiritual, that often appear in a person's final year of life. And how, if we recognize them early, we can respond with love, presence, and dignity. Have you seen one of these signs in someone you love, or even yourself? Let me know in the comments. You're not alone. Sign 1. Sudden withdrawal from life, not just fatigue but disconnection. At first it might look like tiredness. A nap here, a skipped phone call there. Maybe they stop watching their favorite shows or cancel plans more often. But then it deepens. They stop returning messages. Their once lively eyes seem distant. And you notice they're not just tired. They're pulling away from people, from hobbies, from the world. This isn't simple fatigue. It's a quiet emotional withdrawal, a sign often overlooked in the final chapter of life. Let's talk about Eleanor, 84. She used to love her morning walks and called her sister every Sunday without fail. But over a few months her steps got slower, then stopped. The phone stayed on the hook. She started saying things like, "I don't want to bother anyone," or "Nothing really matters anymore." Her daughter thought she was depressed. But Eleanor wasn't sad, she was ready. Her body still functioned, her mind still sharp. But her energy was retreating inward. And that's what many palliative care nurses report. In their final year, seniors often begin a natural, subconscious detachment from the outer world. It's not giving up, it's letting go. As the body ages, it conserves energy, physically and emotionally. The brain and heart often shift focus inward. Some theorize it's a biological way of preparing for the transition from life to death. But it's also psychological. When someone senses that their time is drawing near, consciously or not, they may begin to close emotional loops, to protect loved ones, to prepare spiritually, to reflect. The danger is when we misunderstand this withdrawal as laziness or depression or just being old. If someone you love is showing these signs, the first step is presence, not pushing them to return to normal, but simply being with them in whatever space they're in. Gently check in without forcing energy. "I miss hearing your voice. How are you feeling today?" Offer quiet companionship. Sometimes just sitting together, holding hands, or listening to music says more than words. Create space for reflection. Invite stories. Ask what matters most to them now. Avoid overcheering. Phrases like "you'll bounce back" may come from love, but they can make a withdrawing senior feel unseen. If you're noticing this in yourself, don't be afraid. You're not broken. You're becoming more inward. That doesn't mean your life is over, but it might mean it's time to pause and reevaluate what truly matters. Even as life quiets, love remains loud. And sometimes that's all a person needs to feel complete. Sign 2. Unexpected weight loss, when the body speaks without words. At first you might not even notice. A belt gets looser. A blouse hangs a little differently. Maybe friends comment, "You look great," thinking it's intentional. But behind that weight loss, something deeper may be unfolding. Sudden, unintentional weight loss after 70 is one of the most alarming indicators of declining health, and one of the most ignored, especially when it happens subtly over months, not weeks. Let's take Henry, 79. He lived alone, independent and proud. He wasn't sick, at least not in any obvious way. But over time he lost interest in cooking. A sandwich here, a few crackers there. He skipped meals more often, not because he couldn't eat, but because he just didn't feel like it. When his daughter finally convinced him to visit the doctor, the truth came out. Henry had lost 18 pounds in 6 months. His body was slowing down, not from illness alone, but from what doctors call physiologic decline. His organs were working harder to do less. His appetite was a whisper of what it used to be. And his body was telling a truth his words hadn't caught up to. In the final year of life, the body often shifts into a catabolic state, where it begins to break down tissues faster than it builds them. Appetite declines, digestion weakens, and the desire to prepare or enjoy food fades. Even without a serious disease, this can be a natural sign that the body is preparing to wind down. Muscle loss becomes more prominent. Seniors may feel weaker, more fatigued, or even dizzy. Malnutrition creeps in, especially when no one is monitoring meals. It's not just about food. It's about function. Weight loss in this stage often leads to falls, hospitalizations, and longer recovery times from even minor illnesses. If you notice yourself or a loved one losing weight without trying, pay attention. It's your body's way of waving a flag. Track weight monthly, not obsessively but as a check-in. Watch for clothing changes. Needing new holes in a belt or looser sleeves are often early signs. Prioritize calorie-dense, protein-rich foods. Small meals with eggs, yogurt, nut butters, and soups can help. Consider shakes or supplements. Sometimes liquids are easier than full meals. Check in emotionally. Loss of appetite can also signal emotional grief or disconnection, not just physical decline. Above all, don't ignore the change. Weight loss after 70 isn't just about numbers on a scale. It's a story your body is trying to tell you. And listening, really listening, could mean more time, more comfort, and more peace. Sign 3. Withdrawing from people and activities, the silent goodbye. It starts subtly. You stop answering phone calls. You cancel lunch plans. You skip your weekly card game or church group. And then one day you realize it's been over a week since you've had a real conversation. This slow pulling away can be easy to overlook. But for many seniors in their final year, it's one of the most telling and emotional signs, the desire to quietly retreat from the world. Let's talk about Marjorie, 84. She was once the heart of her bridge club, always hosting, always laughing. But after a rough winter and a bout of pneumonia, she began declining invitations. Too tired today, she'd say. Or, let's do it next week. But next week didn't come. Soon, even her granddaughter's visits felt like too much. The TV stayed on, the curtains stayed closed, and her phone sat silent for days at a time. Her family assumed she was just tired. But what they didn't realize is that Marjorie was starting to let go. This isn't just about being introverted or needing rest. It's deeper than that. In the final stretch of life, many seniors begin to feel an internal shift. Their energy becomes more limited. Conversation feels like effort. And they often feel like they don't want to burden others with their decline, emotionally or physically. There's also a natural psychological process at play, life review. As the body begins to slow down, the mind turns inward. Seniors begin reflecting on the life they've lived. Moments of joy, pain, purpose, and regret. It's a deeply personal experience, and sometimes solitude becomes the only space safe enough to process it. Some describe it as a quiet goodbye, not spoken but felt, choosing to retreat to protect the people they love from witnessing the decline. If you or a loved one is slowly withdrawing from the world, it's important to meet that space with compassion, not pressure. Gently check in, ask open-ended questions like, "How have you been feeling lately?" rather than "Why didn't you come?" Offer presence, not plans. Instead of trying to get them out of the house, offer to come sit, share a quiet meal, or watch their favorite movie. Respect the retreat, but stay close. Just because someone is pulling back doesn't mean they want to be forgotten. A note, a call, a soft, "I'm here," can go a long way. Understand the difference between depression and detachment. If withdrawal comes with hopelessness or despair, they may need support. But if it feels peaceful, reflective, or calm, it may be part of the natural process. Sometimes, what seems like loneliness is actually a kind of preparation. The body gets quieter, the mind turns inward, and the heart begins its final reflections. Recognizing this shift can help us respond not with fear, but with love, presence, and respect. Sign 4. Sudden weight loss or loss of appetite, the body's quiet signal. One of the most overlooked yet critical signs that a senior may be approaching their final year of life is unexpected weight loss or a sudden drop in appetite. It's not just about eating less. It's often a deeper, physiological shift in how the body processes energy. Let's take the story of Walter, age 89. For most of his life, Walter had a hearty appetite. His family joked that he never missed a meal. But slowly he began leaving food untouched on his plate. Breakfast became just a sip of coffee. Lunch turned into a few crackers. And by dinner he'd often say, "I'm just not hungry." His daughter, at first, thought it was just a temporary stomach bug or medication side effect. But over the next few months, Walter dropped nearly 20 pounds. His clothes hung loose. His energy faded. And even though he was still mentally sharp, it was clear. His body was changing in a way no diet could fix. In the final stages of life, the body undergoes subtle changes that reflect a deep biological shift. Organs begin to slow down. The digestive system becomes less efficient. Hormonal signals that trigger hunger become weaker. And often the sensation of hunger itself disappears. This is the body's way of preserving energy, redirecting it from digestion to vital functions like breathing, heart rate, and brain activity. But while this change may be part of the natural process, it's emotionally difficult to witness. Loved ones may try to encourage eating, offer favorite meals, or become frustrated when nothing seems to help. But the truth is, when the body stops asking for food, it's often speaking more clearly than we realize. If you notice that a senior has stopped eating like they used to, here's what matters most. Don't force food. Trying to make them eat can create stress or shame. Instead, offer small, easy-to-digest options like smoothies, yogurt, or soups. Focus on comfort, not calories. At this stage, a spoonful of something comforting may matter more than a full plate of nutrients. Hydration is key. Even if appetite fades, sips of water, tea, or electrolyte drinks can help maintain comfort and prevent discomfort. Talk to a healthcare provider. Sudden weight loss should always be checked. It may be linked to medication, illness, or depression, and in some cases it can be managed. Understand the symbolism. For many families, meals are love. When a parent stops eating, it can feel like rejection. But it's not. It's biology, not betrayal. Weight loss in the final year of life isn't just about food, it's about transition. The body is letting go, and often so is the soul. It's heartbreaking, yes, but also a chance to shift focus. Instead of measuring life in meals or pounds, we begin to measure it in presence, connection, and peace. So if someone you love is quietly pushing their plate away, don't panic. Sit with them, hold their hand, and offer nourishment that goes beyond the physical. Sometimes love looks like soup, and sometimes it's just being there when they say, "No, thank you." Sign 5. Withdrawal from life, the emotional goodbye before the physical one. There's a moment many families recall just before a loved one passes, when that person begins to quietly withdraw from life itself. This isn't the same as depression, although it may look like it at first. It's a deep, soulful shift, a kind of turning inward. And in many seniors nearing their final year, it's one of the clearest and most emotional signs of what's to come. Take Eleanor, 87. A former schoolteacher, she was always the first to join family game nights, volunteer at church, and call her grandkids just to say hello. But gradually her world grew quieter. She stopped answering the phone, canceled her weekly bridge games, turned down invitations. And even when people came to visit, she seemed present, but distant, like her spirit was gently preparing to let go. At first, her family thought she was just tired, or maybe feeling a little down. But her doctor gently explained, "This isn't sadness. This is a natural closing of the emotional loop." Withdrawal can take many forms, but the pattern is similar. Reduced interest in hobbies or conversations. Spending more time in bed or alone in a quiet room. Shorter responses, less storytelling, fewer questions. Closing off long-standing routines, like writing letters or keeping journals. Even physical signs like avoiding eye contact or turning inward while lying down. It's as if the person is slowly stepping away from the world they've known, and towards something else entirely. As the body begins to shut down, so does the energy for social interaction. But this shift isn't just physical, it's often spiritual. Many end-of-life researchers call this life review mode. Seniors reflect on their lives, settle unfinished thoughts, and begin saying emotional goodbyes, not always with words but with presence. For some, it's accompanied by moments of clarity, a long-forgotten memory, a sudden phrase like, "I'm ready," or a request to speak with someone they haven't seen in years. These aren't coincidences, they're part of a deeply human process of closure. Watching someone you love begin to withdraw can feel like a silent heartbreak. But here's what helps. Meet them where they are. Don't try to pull them back into routines or distractions. Offer gentle companionship instead. Be comfortable with silence. Sometimes your presence is more comforting than any words you could say. Invite, don't insist. "Would you like me to sit with you?" gives them agency even as their world shrinks. Honor their emotional needs. If they want to talk about the past, listen. If they want peace, offer stillness. Say what matters. Now is the time to speak your heart. Even if they don't respond, they likely hear you. Withdrawal isn't giving up. It's the soul getting ready. It's a quiet signal that their journey is shifting from doing to being, from surviving to surrendering. If your loved one is pulling back, don't panic. Don't try to fill every silence. Just be there. Because sometimes, the most sacred moments are the ones when nothing needs to be said, only felt. These 5 signs aren't meant to scare you, but to prepare you, to help you show up fully while there's still time. Whether it's physical decline, sudden confusion, loss of appetite, changes in breath, or quiet withdrawal, each sign carries a message: be here now. Because when we recognize what's happening, we stop running from it and start honoring it. This isn't just about death. It's about life, about presence, about connection in the moments that matter most. So if you've seen one of these signs in someone you love, or even in yourself, know this: you still have time to say what you need to say, to listen with your whole heart, to hold someone's hand and remind them they were never alone. And most importantly, to give yourself peace, not panic. Let these signs be a doorway, not a wall. Because understanding them isn't the end, it's a beginning. Which of these 5 signs spoke the loudest to you today? Share your story in the comments. You might be the voice someone else needs to hear. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Because in this space, we don't run from the truth, we walk through it together.